Good morning, dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for our today's digital session for the subject Science and Technology Section A. In our previous session, we have seen how different metals get corroded. We have studied the topic of corrosion of metals for chapter number 8, Metallurgy. Today, we are going to study the different preventive measures for this corrosion. Along with that, we will start with the discussion of textual exercise and additional questions for this chapter. So, I request all of you to be present for the session with a textbook and pencils in your hands. So, let us see the different preventive measures for corrosion. As you all know that corrosion is a harmful, a disadvantageous chemical reaction. There are various methods or ways by which you can prevent it. You can prevent corrosion by fixing a layer of some substance on the metallic surface or covering the metallic surface with a layer of paint, oil, grease, varnish, etc. Now, this can be done in different ways. The first way to avoid or prevent corrosion is galvanization. You can see the image of entire galvanizing process. What is done in this method? A thin layer of zinc is applied to prevent the corrosion of iron or steel. On the surface of iron or steel, a thin layer of zinc is applied. For example, shining iron nails, pins, etc. What happens in this method? As the zinc is applied on the surface of iron or steel, the corrosion of zinc it occurs first because zinc is more electropositive than iron, and then after a few rainy seasons you will find that the zinc layer it goes away and then the inner iron gets exposed and it starts rusting. But you cannot totally prevent the process of corrosion, but you can avoid it or delay the process of corrosion. In this you can see that later on when the zinc layer goes away, iron will come in contact with the air, it will get corroded, but the process is delayed by this galvanization. Now here a direct topic can be asked, or this diagram will be displayed ahead of you and this name will not be displayed. Looking at the different processes and steps, you will be asked to identify which anti-preventive measure is this and write a short note on it. Next one is the measure or the process of tinning. What happens in this method, in this process? A layer of molten tin is deposited on the metals which is called as kalai. You call this process as giving kalai. A greenish layer it forms on the surface of a copper or a brass vessel, and this greenish layer is very poisonous. We can say that corrosion takes place over here. If buttermilk or curry is placed in such a type of vessel which is greenish, then it will get spoiled, and tinning is done, application of molten layer of tin to prevent all such types of damages. Next third process is anodization. Anodization. What happens in this method? The metals like copper, aluminium, they are coated with a thin and strong layer of their own oxides. Metals like copper, aluminium are coated with a thin and strong layer of their own oxides, means copper oxide or aluminium oxide, by the technique of electrolysis. You know what is electrolysis, you have studied in the 9th standard. And for this, the copper or aluminium article, it is used as anode, and hence the technique is known as anodization. Now, as this oxide layer is very strong and uniform all over the surface, it is useful for the prevention of corrosion of the metal. You get different types of anodized pans and all in the market. If you take an example, when aluminium is anodized, the thin layer of aluminium oxide is formed. On its surface, it obstructs, it cuts the contact of the aluminium with oxygen and water, and this prevents further oxidation. So this protection, it can be further increased by making that oxide layer thicker during the process of anodization. And you get different types of anodized utensils in the market which are costly. The fourth technique is electroplating. Here, a less reactive metal is coated on a more reactive metal by the process of electrolysis. Silver plated spoons or gold plated ornaments are the different examples of electroplating. You know, the Bentex roll gold and all such type of ornaments are good examples of electroplating. And the last one is alloying. Now you know that majority of the metallic substances which are used presently, they are in the form of alloys, and the main intention behind is to decrease the intensity of corrosion of metals. Alloying means mixing. The homogeneous mixture which is formed by mixing a metal with other metals or non-metals in certain proportion is called an alloy. Example is bronze is an alloy which is formed from 90% copper and 10% tin. So if copper has that property of undergoing corrosion, when it is mixed with tin, a mixture which is formed, an alloy which is formed, it can delay the process of corrosion. Or bronze statues, they do not get affected by sun, rain. Stainless steel is a good example. It does not get stains with air or water and does not even rust. Why? Because it is an alloy which is made from 74% iron, 18% chromium and 8% carbon. Now, this proportions should be known by you. They can be asked in the exam. Direct process of alloying, or give the composition of bronze, give the composition of stainless steel. So these compositions should be learnt by heart by you. The last topic you can see in the textbook about the amalgam, that topic they have removed out from the syllabus. So with this we complete with the explanation of chapter number 8, that is metallurgy. And now without wasting any further time, let us begin with the discussion of its textual exercise. Keep your textbooks ready. Page number 108. Page number 108. Question number 1. Write names. You have to give the names, or in short you can say name the following. Here question number A is deleted because it is from the reduced part of the syllabus. Alloy of sodium with mercury. The answer is sodium amalgam, and that topic of amalgam on page number 108 they have removed out from the syllabus. So we begin with question number 1B. Molecular formula of the common ore of aluminium. You have studied the entire process of extraction of aluminium, where you know that the ore of aluminium is bauxite. So its molecular formula is Al2O3 dot n number of water molecules. Question number 1C. The oxide that forms salt and water by reacting with both acid and base. Here the answer is any name of amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxide. Suppose it is aluminium oxide, zinc oxide. Here I have taken zinc oxide. You can even write aluminium oxide. Anything which is amphoteric in nature. The device which is used for grinding an ore. Very simple. Ball mill. Next is question number 1E. The non-metal having electrical conductivity, graphite. And the last one, the reagent that dissolves noble metals, aqua regia. Aqua regia, the information on aqua regia they have given in the textbook on page number 96 in the green colored block. So here question number 1 gets over. Let us move towards question number 2. Question number 2 and 3 are questions of match the columns. So let us begin. I have directly put the answers on the slides. You can just mark in your textbook. Question number 2. Make pairs of substances and their properties. The first substance is potassium bromide. Its property is it is soluble in water. Gold, high ductility. Sulfur, combustible. and neon no chemical reaction because it is a noble gas. So in the textbook you can mark for A answer is second, that is soluble in water. Gold, B answer is 4. For C sulfur answer is 1 and D neon answer is 3. Question number 3 again, identify the pairs of metals and their ores from the following. For bauxite it is the ore of aluminium, cassiterite is the ore of tin and cinnabar is the ore for the metal mercury. Very simple, they can be even asked as name the following in the exam or MCQs. Cassiterite is an ore of dash metal and different names will be given. You have to select tin, that is the correct answer. With this we complete up to question number 3. Now let us proceed towards question number 4. Change the question. They have given explain the terms. You have to make it define the terms. Question is define the terms. First one, A, metallurgy. The answer lies in the textbook on page number 99, second last paragraph. Page number 99 in your textbook. The question is define the terms. You can see clearly on page number 99, second last paragraph is with the heading metallurgy. That is the answer. The science and technology regarding the extraction of metals from ores and their purification for the use is called metallurgy. This can be asked as 1 mark questions or definitions in the exam. B, ores. Ores answer you have to refer page number 100. Very first line of page number 100. Page number 100 in your textbook, very first line. The minerals from which the metal can be separated economically are called ores. C, minerals. C, minerals. Answer page number 99, second last line. Page number 99, second last line. The compounds of metals that occur in nature along with their impurities are called minerals. And the last one is question number 4D, gangue. Page number 100, second line. Ores contain many types of impurities such as soil, sand and rocky substances along with the metal compounds. These impurities are called gangue or gangue, whatever you spell it. So here all the 4 definitions for question number 4 are over. Let us proceed towards question number 5. Very important question. Give scientific reasons for. The first one, lemon or tamarind is used for cleaning copper vessels which are turned greenish. Lemon or tamarind is used for cleaning copper vessels turned greenish. Now you know copper, when it comes with contact of carbon dioxide in the air, it forms copper carbonate. So some part of the answer you will get in your textbook on page number 106. Page number 106. You can see the 4 points under the heading corrosion of metals. In that 4 points, point number 2. Point number 2, I have given you the linkage of the answer and points I have formed. So you can link the topic from page number 106 and you can form your own point. Carbon dioxide in moist air reacts with copper and hence leads to the formation of greenish layer of copper carbonate CuCO3 on its surface. Point number 2 you have to add on your own. Why lemon or tamarind is used? Because lemon or tamarind contains acid which can dissolve the greenish layer and form water soluble salts and helps the copper vessels to regain its luster. Now copper vessels, how they turn greenish, that should be explained in your first step, and what is that greenish layer. And in the second point you have to mention why lemon or tamarind is used over there, because they contain the acids which have the capacity of dissolving that poisonous greenish layer which is formed, and then the copper vessels are to regain their luster back again. Question number 5A is over. We move towards question number 5b. Give reason number 2. Question number 5b. Generally, the ionic compounds have high melting points. For the answer, refer page number 98 and 99 of your textbook. Point number 1 is on page number 98 under the heading Ionic Compounds in pink color. The statement starts from the compounds formed. Instead of that, you just add ionic compounds are formed from two units, namely cation and anion, which are oppositely charged, and hence there is a strong electrostatic force of attraction between them. You have to just modify the statement a little bit. Second point lies on page number 99. Page number 99, you can see general properties. Third point is your point number 2 of give reason. The intermolecular force of attraction is high in ionic compounds and large amount of energy is required to overcome it. Therefore, the melting points of ionic compounds are high. These are the 2 points which I feel are correct. Any other logical or scientifically correct point you can write here. Give reason 3, that is 5c. Sodium is always kept in kerosene. Sodium, you know how highly reactive it is. It not only combines with oxygen from the air but also with water, and it can readily catch fire and cause an accident, and hence to avoid all this it is kept in kerosene. So for the answer, refer page number 94. Page number 94, under the heading reaction of metals with oxygen, you have point number 1. Second line, under the heading of reaction of metals with oxygen, second line, sodium metal being highly reactive combines with oxygen in the air even at room temperature and forms sodium oxide. Immediately for this statement, you have to support with the help of equation which is given in the textbook. 4Na plus O2 gives 2Na2O. Point number 2, continue marking. On exposure to air, sodium readily catches fire. Therefore, to prevent accident, it is kept in kerosene as it does not react with kerosene and sinks in it. This part you have to add in the textbook from as it does not react with kerosene and sinks in it. Point number 3, this you have to add on your own side. Hence, to cut the contact of sodium metal with air, it is always kept in kerosene. Mark it thoroughly. Next, question number 5D. Pine oil is used in froth flotation. Page number where you have all the different processes in concentration of ores. Page number 101, last paragraph. Answer is quite big. You can reduce the points. Under the heading froth flotation method, last paragraph you will get the first point. The froth flotation method is based on the two opposite properties, hydrophilic and hydrophobic of the particles. Point number 2, here the particles of the metal sulfides due to their hydrophobic property get wetted mainly with pine oil, while due to the hydrophilic property the gangue particles get wetted with water. Point number 3, turn the page. On page number 102, sixth line. Pressurized air is blown through the water. There is an agitator rotating around its axis in the center of the flotation tank. Leave one line and then continue marking. Bubbles are formed due to the blown air due to agitation. A foam is formed from oil, water and air bubbles together due to the agitating. Last point, this foam rises to the surface of water and floats and can be easily separated. And can be easily separated, this 3 to 4 words you have to add. Now this is the main part of the answer which I have given you. You can reduce the amount of matter in the answer if you wish to. Question number 5E. Question number 5E. Anodes need to be replaced from time to time during the electrolysis of alumina. Purposely I am waiting in between so that you can carefully mark the points. Anodes need to be replaced from time to time during the electrolysis of alumina. For the answer, page number 104 you have to refer. You can see the heading in the center of the page, electrolytic reduction of alumina. First point you have to add on your own side, cathode and anode are made of graphite. You know that the lining does the work of the cathode, it is the graphite lining. Even the graphite rods which are dipped in the molten electrolyte, they work as anode. So cathode and anode are made up of graphite. Point number 2. Now this you can mark in the textbook, page number 104. Below that figure 8.12, extraction of aluminium. Below that you can mark, in the electrolysis of alumina, this you have to copy from the question. Aluminium is deposited on the cathode on passing electric current and oxygen gas is liberated at the anode. In middle that molten aluminium and all part is given, you can just ignore it. The liberated oxygen, here you will get this point below that electrode reactions. The liberated oxygen gas reacts with the anodes to form carbon dioxide gas. Therefore, the anodes have to be changed from time to time as they get oxidized during the electrolysis of alumina. Very simple answer on page number 104. Below the figure 8.12, whatever matter is given, you have to write it point-wise. No need of giving the electrode reactions over here for this give reason. With this we complete with question number 5, a very important questions of give reasons. Now question number 6 and 7 are application based questions. Let us see what they are. Question number 6 from your textbook says, when a copper coin is dipped in silver nitrate solution, a glitter appears on the coin after some time. Why does this happen, and write the chemical equation. A copper coin is taken, it is dipped in AgNO3, that is silver nitrate solution, and after some time you will see the coin shining. Why does this happen and what is the chemical equation? Now you know that copper, it is more reactive than silver. So what it will do? It will displace silver from silver nitrate solution. So your first point, copper is more reactive than silver, hence it displaces silver from silver nitrate solution. This is very important. Now why does this happen? So silver which is released, silver which is displayed by copper, it will get deposited on the copper coin and hence glitter appears on the coin after some time. You know that silver is shiny, it is lustrous. So when the silver which is displaced by copper, it will go and sit, it will go and get applied on the surface of copper coin, due to which it starts shining. And then you have to support your answer with a chemical equation. Copper, Cu, that is solid, plus 2 AgNO3 silver nitrate solution aqueous gives copper nitrate plus liberation of silver. I hope you have followed the answer. Copper coin, it was dipped in silver nitrate. Copper is more reactive, so it will take or displace silver from its position, and that liberated silver will get deposited on the copper coin, making it shiny. Question number 7, also same thing. The electronic configuration of metal A is 281 and that of metal B is 282. Which of the two metals is more reactive? And write their reaction with dilute hydrochloric acid. They have not given the names of the metals, they have given the electronic configuration. You can just add the number of electrons and you will get the atomic number. So 2 plus 8 plus 1, 11, and 2 plus 8 plus 2 is 12. So metal A is sodium and metal B is magnesium. So immediately you will write metal A is sodium, metal B is magnesium. So sodium is more reactive than magnesium. Which of the two metals is more reactive, they have asked. So this is the first part of the answer. Sodium is more reactive than magnesium. And now write their reaction with dilute hydrochloric acid. That is reaction of sodium with hydrochloric acid and magnesium with hydrochloric acid. So sodium 2Na plus 2HCl forms 2NaCl plus liberation of hydrogen gas. So gas is shown with the arrow in the upward direction. Magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid forming MgCl2, that is magnesium chloride, plus the liberation of hydrogen gas. And whenever you are writing such a type of chemical equation, you have to mention the names of the reactants and products below it. So sodium hydrochloric acid, sodium chloride, hydrogen, magnesium hydrochloric acid, magnesium chloride, and liberated hydrogen. I hope the answer is very clear. So you now come to know from this the different types of questions which can be formed from the available data in the chapter. So be prepared with such type of logical and application based questions. Question number 8 is very simple. Draw neat label diagrams. See to it that you are drawing the diagrams in the notebook, so it will be a part of your practice. So question number 8, draw a neat label diagram. I will give you the page numbers. The first one is A, magnetic separation method. This diagram you will get on page number 101. I will give you the figure number. Figure 8.10 is the magnetic separation method. Now while you are marking, see that non-magnetic ingredient, magnetic ingredient, magnetic, non-magnetic rollers, powdered ore, this main parts you are labeling. Next is B, froth flotation method diagram. You will get on page number 102, figure 8.11. Here bubbles, water and pine oil, agitator, froth, main part has to be labeled. Next is C, electrolytic reduction of alumina. In the textbook you will get this diagram on page number 104, diagram 8.12. Next is D, hydraulic separation method. You will get in the textbook on page number 101, figure 8.9. And one more I have added here as an additional diagram, E. It is not given in the textbook, Wilfley table method. The diagram is on page number 100, figure 8.8. So all these 5 diagrams should be drawn in the notebook. Now we move ahead with question number 9. Write chemical equation for the following events. Write chemical equation for the following events. First one, now when such a type of question is asked, write chemical equation, then always you have to first provide with the explanation, write the equation, write the names of the reactants, products, if possible mention their physical states also. Aluminium came in contact with air. Aluminium came in contact with air. When aluminium comes in contact with air, it combines with oxygen in the air to form aluminium oxide. So the reaction is 4 aluminium plus 3 oxygen gives 2 Al2O3. Here this equation you will get in the textbook also when you see reaction of metals with oxygen. Next is question number 9b. Iron filings are dropped in aqueous solution of copper sulfate, what will happen? So more reactive ion will displace copper from copper sulfate solution and it will form FeSO4, that is ferrous sulfate. And this you can see is an example of displacement reaction which you have studied in chapter number 3. So Fe plus CuSO4 forms FeSO4 plus Cu. So iron plus copper sulfate forms iron sulfate plus copper. C. A reaction was brought about between ferric oxide and aluminium. This answer you will get in the textbook on page number 105. Above the diagram 8.13, that is thermit welding. Above that you will have that equation. So this is an example of thermit reaction where ferric oxide reacts with aluminium to form iron and aluminium oxide. Fe2O3 plus 2Al gives 2Fe plus Al2O3 plus heat. So in this, on page number 105, along with the equation, you have the explanation also on the same page. Next, now question number 9D. Electrolysis of alumina is done. Very simple. Just now while marking for the give reason, I had told you that both the electrode reactions are there. Page number 104. Electrolysis of molten mixture of alumina is done in a steel tank. The electrode reactions are as shown below. Both the electrode reactions are given over there. One is the anode reaction and one is the cathode reaction. Both the reactions you have to write and show which is oxidation and which one is reduction. Last one, question number 9E. Zinc oxide is dissolved in dilute hydrochloric acid. When zinc oxide dissolves in dilute hydrochloric acid, zinc chloride and water is formed. ZNO plus 2HCl gives ZnCl2 plus H2O along with the names of reactants, products. And apart from this, you know that you have so many number of equations in this entire chapter. So each and every equation you have to prepare very thoroughly. Now question number 10 I won't discuss over here. It is self-study for you. Very simple it is. Complete the following statement using every given options. So during the extraction of aluminium, then what are the different ingredients and gangue in bauxite? What is the use of leaching? What chemical reaction of So all this you will get in the part of extraction of aluminium. So very easily all the ingredients, use of leaching you will get in that paragraph. So I won't discuss that answer. Last question, that is textual, question number 11. Divide the metals copper, zinc, calcium, magnesium, iron, sodium, lithium into 3 groups. Such type of questions are extremely important from the board examination point of view. This they can even ask for 3 marks. Because total 6 names are there and you have to put them in 3 groups. So each will carry half mark. So first you have to prepare 3 columns. One of reactive metals, other of moderately reactive and third is less reactive metals. Now referring the reactivity series, in that chart you come to know copper least reactive, put under the less reactive metals. Zinc moderately, calcium highly reactive metal, magnesium moderately, iron moderately, sodium and lithium under highly reactive metals. So with this we complete with question number 11 and we complete the textual exercise over here. Now hardly 2 additional questions are there, so we will just complete that part. First additional question is what is aqua regia? It can be asked as an HOTS question. What is aqua regia? In your textbook on page number 96 you have the answer in the green colored block. Page number 96, green colored block. Write that block point wise. First point, aqua regia is a highly corrosive and fuming liquid. It is one of the few reagents which can dissolve the noble metals like gold and platinum. Aqua regia is freshly prepared by mixing concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid in the ratio 3:1. Very important question, can be asked in the exam. And the last additional question is, give any three properties of ionic compounds. Give any three properties of ionic compounds. You will get in the textbook a clear answer on page number 99. The heading is General Properties of Ionic Compounds. 5 properties are there. From the 5 you select any 3 and write. Point number 4 and 5 you can shorten the points and write as the property. So I will give you the marking. Point number 1. The attractive force between the positively and negatively charged ions is strong. Therefore, the ionic compounds exist in solid state and are hard. Number 2. The ionic compounds are brittle and can be broken into pieces by applying pressure. And the third one, melting and boiling points of ionic compounds are high. So these are the 3 properties of ionic compounds. And with this we complete with the discussion of textual as well as the additional questions for this chapter. In our next session, I will be discussing the activities for this chapter, and we will start with the last chapter to end with our syllabus, that is chapter number 9, carbon compounds. Though lengthy, it is the base of organic chemistry ahead, so you have to prepare it. The important points I will pick up from that chapter, and as far as possible I will try to make the chapter easy and interesting for you. Thank you, dear children.